Hello, YouTubers.
Hi guys.
Joe and Paul here of Joe and Paul. This is 4:45 on Tuesday, March 12th. Now, Paul's just gotten home from work here about a half hour ago, 45 minutes ago, and I think we've both had pretty productive days. I'm doing my continuing medical education, working through this series of questions based on journal articles, and I'm 7 questions from the end. So one more day should see me home on this. I'll probably do that on Thursday. But I did come across this great thing here. Oh, get that picture. Gotta get the picture. This it's one of these health Nazi things, and I just love health Nazis. I mean, I love the way people try to tell everybody else how to live. So in Australia. Well, first of all, anybody who's been into Canada or in the United Kingdom has seen these cigarette packs that have these lurid photographs of various pathological specimens that smoking will kill you, and then they've got like a hole or a cancerous lung or something. So,
or how it's going to be rotting off their lips and stuff.
Oh, that too. Yeah. Well, so anyway, I guess.
Oh, gross.
They had this thing.
They smoke between their toes.
No, well, actually, you might think so. Here, I'll show this to you very briefly. The Australian government was proposing this particular thing. Smoking causes peripheral vascular disease, as indeed it does. But here, I'll show you this very briefly here. Isn't that charming? And then, now, the U.S. was talking about a similar thing, but I'll tell you, compared to Australia and Canada and the U.K., we're very white bread about that kind of stuff, and they came up with this thing, just a little cancerous lung.
Good lung, bad lung.
And then I went and looked at the rest of the sort of panoply of selections that they had proffered, and at least the U.S. government's selection. And the best they could come up was with this guy blowing smoke out of his trach. Now,
oh yeah. Was he the one that would actually stick the cigarette in the trach?
Well, I mean,
smoke it.
I've encountered any number of these.
After they did that to save his life, because where we rotted out.
Well, I rotted out of his larynx. Yeah. No, I encountered any number of these guys when I was, involved in the surgical arena. There was one guy who even had this, he liked to smoke the Churchill cigars, the big round fat cigars, and he'd stuff this thing down in his trach, and well, or not so, and then sort of this plume. It looked like one of the industrial smokestacks up there along the Cuyahoga River and the Cleveland waterfront back in the 1970s and late 1960s, when the
old coal days.
Well, yeah, when
the old coal burning days.
When before air got cleaned up and water got cleaned up, and all the water is really not germane to this discussion. And so suffice to say that the U.S. government's proposed images weren't nearly as lurid as this wonderful rotten foot that the Australians, proposed. Which is to say that, that slowed me down a bit, doing my continuing medical education hours, because I was just having so much fun with this kind of stuff. So we got some distressing news yesterday. And it was from our future internet service provider. Now, it turns out that the current internet service provider that we're using right now has been purchased by this new outfit. And it's an outfit that
they're not new. They've been around in town forever.
Yes, I don't want to really denigrate this other American corporation and this other American tycoon who was involved in that corporation.
One big corporation just took over another corporation.
Yeah, well, except, of course, one, it's going to raise our prices. Okay. More to the point, what really annoys me is that it's going to force me to change and rearrange all my email, which means, of course, all of the user IDs and the identifiers and the this and the that's with the various accounts I've set up. This is just going to be a major, major pain.
Yeah, they all have to be changed again.
Well, here's an idea.
This is the second time.
No, this is a real proposal, and I think, much as they now have cell phone number portability, you can keep your cell phone number, period, all
right,
ever and ever, amen.
Every time you swap phone.
You ought to be able to keep your email address in perpetuity as well. Ever, ever, amen. And I can assure you there's enough clever people out there on the West Coast can figure out how to do that. And the idea that, these guys can come in and buy somebody and make everybody change all their personal arrangements is just nonsense. And I deeply resent it, and I am not happy about it whatsoever. Now, having said that,
I'm sure you're not the only one.
Well, I can't. No, I can't be the only one.
Come on, think of it.
I've just started this game. I've got about 12, 15 things I'm going to change around.
You have You have docs, lawyers, dentists.
Oh yeah, people with real
medical
people
things.
who are actually making real money doing real things. Rather than
like
just sitting up here playing around like I am. This is
even the hospitals around town. If they're on this one service that was taken over by this other service, they're going to have to change all their stuff too.
Well, it will be very annoying.
For example, even the hotels and inns around here, if they were on the one that was just bought out by this one, well, then they'd have to switch everything too.
No, it's just, well, anyway, it's that in theory isn't going to be happening until late June, and perhaps more of that anon. Well, I'm sure more of that anon at some point. Now Paul had a very interesting day. They had probably there was some sort of corporate intervention. Now, intervention in the sense of where you get people in to talk about, oh, you need to stop drinking, you need to stop doing this. They were actually having a corporate
Crisis intervention.
Oh, crisis intervention.
Crisis intervention. There's one copy restaurant, well known, and anyway, they've been around for a long time. Somehow, either there was a robber or whatever, but at this one of their restaurant, well, like when I was a kid and I worked in a fast food joint, they were called stores, and each little fast food thing had its own store number. Either way, someone was murdered somehow, and they all wanted to speak to a crisis intervention counselor.
Oh, counselor.
So they called it the last minute Sunday, and I set the room up and got it ready for them so they could do it. And they were in there for like 6 a.m. to like about 6 or 9 p.m. yesterday.
Did that assuage their grief?
Well, according to the staff that was there yesterday, and there also again today, they said, well, apparently the meeting went well.
Oh,
so
that's well. It's not something that would make me feel
I hope it went well as possible for these poor people.
Well, it would make me feel, much worse. But each to his own, I guess.
Because I don't know. I don't know if this murder happened during a robbery in the actual store that all these people worked
Oh, it was, I
in.
suppose, some sort of annoyed employee coming back in to kill a coworker or something.
No, it could have been like a robber or what? Well,
yeah.
or a coworker tip.
I'll tell you, when I did anesthesia on the prison inmates, the armed robbers were the most scary of all of them, I'll tell you. I'd give me a murderer any day to an armed robber.
Yeah, but trust me, if they got a gun, they're serious. They're going to blow your butt.
Well, but the murderer generally is aiming toward you. Now, I mean, I'm talking about one of these mass shootings. I'm talking about, most murderers only kill once. But an armed robber, now that's a scary so-and-so.
Yeah, because they'll... But if they're like even coming in and shoot and kill somebody off that they're ticked off at, and if somebody else gets in the way, that person could also get shot.
That's true. Yeah, it's no witnesses and all that. Now, tomorrow you're off. Paul's off tomorrow.
I'm off.
And he's gonna go
to my stepmother's
There
house.
you go. He's gonna sort out a problem.
I'm gonna get a family. Okay. Not a lot of people. I mean, if you ask them today, they really don't know what a hope test is. Back in the.
I'm sorry.
Now we're going. For example, this thing has been in the family since the Civil War. My one of my great aunts, she was a communications person between Washington, D.C. and Fort Delaware during the Civil War.
Telegraph.
Yeah.
Neat.
Lincoln used to come through that office all the time talking to people in Columbus and Fort Delaware. Anyway.
That's where the Black Regiment was recruited, by the way.
Fort Delaware. Ohio. Delaware, Ohio.
Yep.
All right. There was a big flood and everything. This thing was put up on the roof of a second floor house. And it still got like a foot and a half. Almost 2 foot of water in this box, even though it was on the second floor of the house. And my great aunt, when they got to her by boats, to see if anybody was alive down there or just flushed off by the big flood, she was sitting on the roof of the house on top of this thing. And she had, on her own, emptied everything out of it, and she had dragged that thing out through a bedroom window on the second floor onto the porch floor, got it up onto the roof of the house, up on the very peak of the house to try to keep it dry and safe so she could hand it down through the line of girls to come, the eldest girls of everyone to come along. But it got damp because the water got that high. But anyway, when they showed up, they said, "We're here to save you and anything or anybody else of value." She says, "I want this. You need to get me and this to highland and dryland because I plan to never lose this and leave it anywhere as long as I'm alive."
So now you're going to try to fetch it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And give it to my eldest sister because she's the next in line to get this. Because it was my mother's. It was passed down through, and my mother wound up with it, and it goes to my eldest sister.
But after your dad died, his second wife retained it. And
my dad hung on to it.
Yeah,
she has her own.
Well, I know,
but she has her own hope chest.
So, but your stepmother has possession
my mother's,
and she wants to give it to.
I talked to her because she's moving.
Yeah, she's recently moved.
She's moving into a house with a brother and sister, and so they can
Well,
put all their monies
consolidate.
together.
So they consolidate. Yeah.
And she told me I could come and get the thing because that would
Well, that's great.
give them a lot more,
Super.
some more space.
Well, that's Paul's task for tomorrow. And
so that's what I and my youngest sister are doing tomorrow.
oh, is Mary going to do it with you?
Yeah, and
Oh,
so it's
super.
me at her 11 o'clock.
Oh, well, good.
Down in
I like
in the
Mary.
new
Well, I
town
like
that's
all
really
his.
really
I like all his family, but I especially like Mary.
I know it's crazy.
No, I like
Because
Pam too.
I
like his older brother, but he's died.
You'll love
dead.
this.
He died.
She'll call. She'll say,
Oh, come on.
"Hello, it's Mary." Now that's enough.
But
That's enough.
your sister.
I've known this
Your
kid
sister.
for 40-some years.
This is Mary, your sister.
But she'll go, "Hello, this is Mary, your sister."
Or
Do
if I
you
pick up,
remember?
she says, "This is Mary, Paul's sister." I love it. Yeah, she's such a gentle soul. It's great.
You know, she's done this for like 30 years, some years.
You know, there's a big gay. You're what, 10 years older than she is?
I'm 59.
She's the youngest.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and Bruce is like, so it's like 8 years for Bruce and then 10 years below for Mary.
Yeah, because Bruce is almost 50 or just turned 50.
Well, it's like two separate families, really. It wasn't, but that's, I mean, my sister's 8 years older than me. I mean, it's like we're both only children.
She could almost be like in her 47, 48, 49, somewhere near.
Yeah. Well, her kids are what? You got Andy.
Well, her youngest just turned 18.
Well, there you are. And Andy's what? Andy's what? 28, 27 now.
He's 20-something,
Yeah,
and
something
Amanda would be like.
Well, she's 2 years younger than Andy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andy's the oldest.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but so he's 10. But between he and Jake, it's like 9 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that
like there's a couple of years between he and Amanda, and then they like took 5 years off. And, hey, Jake, welcome to the clan.
I think that pretty much covers it for today. And so we're going to say
Have a good night.
bye-bye now, YouTubers.